just a great belief. Cool. So hi everyone. We haven't got a big group today. Quite a lot of people haven't been able to make it, but that's okay because it is recorded. So for the new people who are listening to this, my name is Anne Andrews, and I've worked for over 30 years in working with high-performing teams. And I love working with teams. I just think they're amazing. Once they get to understand that other people are strange, we're all a bit strange. Yeah. So I've called this How to Motivate the Late, the Lax, and the Terminally Uninspired, which usually makes people laugh because we don't see ourselves as that, but other people are going, I know who that person is. Cool. Okay, so first slide. Cool. So I'm going to cover a lot. I make no apologies because these sessions are quite dense. I want to give you lots and lots of information because you're going to get the recording of it, and it's really good for you to be able to refer back to it. So I'm just going to switch off my video now so that we can concentrate on content. So I want to show you how to identify your true poor performers rather than people you just don't warm to or just don't like. And believe me, that happens a lot. I want to show you how to understand, if you understand people, you can usually understand performance, and I say mostly. I want to talk to you today about the 5 stages of a person's job or career. This came to me at a particular team I was working with, and it just hit me what was going on with this particular team. I want to talk to you about understanding reactions to constant change, and we are living in constant change with COVID and lockdowns and masks and no masks and all of that kind of thing. We're all a bit bewildered. But I absolutely want to talk to you about the power of one-on-ones. I can't stress how important it is if you have staff reporting to you that you have regular one-on-ones. I want to teach you what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. Because so often we get ourselves into muddles, or we get into arguments, or we don't do it because it's too scary. And as owners, managers, franchisors, team leaders, whatever, it's our job to let people know how they're doing. I want to teach you what not to say ever, because that will get you into trouble. I want to show you what to do if the discussion turns nasty, and sometimes they do. I want to talk to you about what to do if you've had your discussion and there's no improvement. I want to show you what to do if there's been some improvement for a while and then they slip back, because that happens. And I want to show you how to stay sane, because my word, we need to stay sane. Next slide. So I've talked about the poor performers. I usually get my calls from some poor manager, franchisor or team leader or whatever going, oh my goodness, can you help me? I've got this terrible person in my team. And I go, okay, well, let's have a look at the performance of everyone. No, you don't need to. It's just this one person. No. Let me have a look at the performance of everyone. And I can't tell you how many times I found out, yeah, they're all poor performers, really. It's just that this one stands out because you don't like them. They're no worse than anybody else. In fact, in some cases, they're not the worst. Yeah, so it's really important that you have true measures to be able to identify your poor performance. Next slide. Now, I can't go into this in detail today because for those of you that have been regulars, I've done this numerous times, and it is the most important thing I teach any team. But for the point of view of today, and for those of you that are new and have never seen this, this profiling thing before, email me after the session and I will send you a webinar that I dedicated exactly just to explaining this, because it is quite complex. But from the point of view of motivation, the owls, which are our detail people, they are motivated by a schedule, by having a checklist, by having a job which lets them do research and all of those kind of wonderful detail-y things that the rest of us hate. Doves, people are motivated by helping others. So they're perfect in customer service. Don't put a dove in an owl job. Don't put an owl in a dove job. You know, it would be a nightmare. peacocks are motivated by you using their ideas or by giving them lots of encouragement. They love to be given lots of attention, and they perform well if you give them lots of attention. Why wouldn't you? And then, of course, our eagles are the get things done people. They are motivated by results. They hate to see things not being finished, not being completed, people saying, I'm going to do something, and then they don't. That drives them absolutely dotty. Next slide. So I was working with an insurance brokerage down country, and it was a massive admin team. And because it was mid-country, there weren't a lot of other local jobs. And so the owner had lots of people who'd been with him for ages and ages and ages. And to say that they weren't terribly energetic was an understatement. And so when I started working with them, I said, tell me about how you're feeling about your job. And I came up with this diagram, which I've used since then with every team I work with. So in the bottom left-hand corner, got an N. Those are people who I knew. They're hopefully excited, motivated, lots to learn, really, really excited. Move to the top left-hand corner and you see the smiley. These are people, and you've got an H. These are the people that are happy. You know, they haven't been with you a long time. They've been with you a while, but there's still enough excitement and learning for them to be happy. If you move across to the B, these are the people who are bored. And there's a lot of boredom, especially this team, a lot of boredom because we haven't had anything new. We haven't developed. We haven't learned any new skills or whatever. And then round in the bottom right-hand corner are the people that I call bored and a pain in the butt. And we know those because they whinge and whine and bleat and moan. We know them. Now, there's another little corner which if you go back to the top left-hand corner, you'll see there's a little area that's got a Q and an S. So what happens for all of us, we start at the new, we move around to happy, because there's not much, you know, we've been doing it for a while, then we get a bit bored. And when we get to the bored stage, we will then do, after a while, one of two things. We'll either come around and become the whinger and the whiner and the moaner, or we move into that little area called Q&S. That is a corner called quit and stay. These are the people that just show up every morning, which is good, but the brain and the passion and the motivation have long since gone. They just go through the motions. They're out the door, dead on the clock. And it's just such a waste. So when I'm working with a team, I actually put this drawing up and I say, tell me where you are. Tell me where you are in all of these faces. And I'm staggered at the number of people that go into the board. What a waste of people. So my passion when working with teams is to get people to keep learning new things, which is really exciting and very exciting if you're the manager, owner, or franchisor and you want to start delegating things. These are your people that you can delegate. I'd like to show you how to do, and would you like to learn this? You know, this is the motivation drawing. Next slide. So people fall into a few categories when there is constant change. The first group are the trailblazers. They're maybe the peacocks, the ones that have got great ideas and they're constantly coming up with ideas. Not everybody does that, and we don't want everybody doing that. We would just be inundated with lots of ideas and no results. But we do need a few trailblazers. Hopefully it's the owner or the manager or the franchisor, but not necessarily. The second group are the people that go, oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, I'm happy to be the guinea pig for that. Show me what you think that is, and let's have a little look at how it could work. The group in number 3, they're the people that go, I don't know, not sure about that. I'm not negative, but I'm not, yeah. So I'm just going to wait and see how it goes. And if it goes well, then I'm more than happy to pick that idea up. Now, those 3 are okay. That's a good group of people. We don't have a problem with those. It's the next group of people that are a challenge. Group 4 are the people that go, I don't think so. No, I'm not going to do that. And then there are group 5. They're the people that they don't even know what day of the week it is half the time. They're just kind of wander around looking brain dead. And then, of course, the dangerous people in our teams are group 6, which are the saboteurs. They're the people who, when they hear a good idea or see a good idea, they're going to make sure it doesn't happen, because a good idea might make them have to do something differently, and they don't like doing anything differently. So have a little look at the people in your team and have a little think about where the people in your team are in those things. First 3 groups are savable, absolutely savable. The second 3 groups they will take energy. And, we've only got so much time and energy. So have a think about what you want to do with those, that second group. Next slide. So, one-on-ones. I am so dedicated to you owners and managers and team leaders having regular one-on-ones. I usually ask managers and owners how often they have them. Some say once a year. No, that's not enough. Some say weekly. That's too much. I believe people need a quarterly, 2 to 3 months. Sit down. How are we going? Where are you at with that? Do you need any support? How's it going? This builds the trust of people and gets you to know your people and get to understand where they are and who they are. So please, please, please have regular one-on-ones with your people. It doesn't have to take long, 10 or 15 minutes or half an hour at the most. But just sit and have a coffee with them, find out how they are. They're human beings bringing their human lives to work. Next slide. So this is where, when you get the recording, I think it's really important that you print this particular slide off. If I'm having to sit and talk with someone, particularly if I'm thinking they're not performing terribly well, please set the scene for respecting the person. Who knows what's going on in their lives? I don't know. We don't know. Think about their stress and their situation, but just set a scene that is comfortable for them to sit and for you and them to talk about whatever it is you need to talk about. Use I statements. I'll go into this a little bit more detail. I'm having a few challenges with, and name it. Please don't waffle. Please don't fog. Just say, I'm having challenges with. I've given examples of your timekeeping. Be specific, specifically the fact that every morning you're late to work, and it just sets the whole team off on the wrong foot, because we need somebody else to cover your desk or whatever. Be specific. Don't fog. Don't fluff around. Make the statement as to what it is that you're having difficulty with. Or there, I put that one there. I'm having difficulty with you not achieving the KPIs I've set. So talk to me about your challenges with those. Don't assume that they're, anything. Just talk to me, tell me. Talk to me about how we're going with that. We may have put a square peg in a round hole, and I want to know about that. I don't want to lose you. It costs so much money to replace people, but I want to find out how to get the best out of you and put you in the best place so that you achieve and we all achieve. Yeah. Or maybe it's just that, some people come in and they don't want to be part of the team, just want to do their own job and go home. That's not a team, and it might be that you have to say, look, I'm just really unhappy with the fact that, or people are telling me that, you're not willing to help other people when they're busy, and you're not. Make the statement very clear. Talk to me about that, and then listen, listen, listen. Next slide. So sound back what you've just heard them say. So, for example, with the timekeeping, and I know this happens. I used to be on a terrible bus route when I was in a job in the city. So what you're saying is, so you're on a bus route that's erratic. So what are your thoughts on dealing with that? It is not your problem, it is theirs. I can't stress that enough. Or the next one, you don't feel, this is a big one. A lot of our older workers, me included, are not good with technology. So you don't feel that you've got the skills to use the new technology we've just installed. So how do you think we can fix that? Let them come up with the solution. The more ideas you let them come up with, the more likely they are to do whatever it is they've said, I think I could, or I'd like to work with, whoever who can show me. use their ideas where possible. And the third one, which comes back to that, you know, not being a team player. So you feel that no one helps you when you're busy, so you're not inclined to help others when they're busy. So how do you think we can sort that? Not your problem, put it back on them. Next slide. So yeah, listen to ideas and suggestions. So the person, the timekeeping, the bus person might say, well, I could probably get an early bus. Great. Absolutely fine. That would be brilliant. Let's give that a go. Or with the technology, you know, the person might say, look, you know, the young person that's just joined us, I see she's really good. Would she be willing to spend half an hour with me every now and again just to talk me through that new thing? Because once I've got it and written it down, I'm fine with technology. It's just I get stressed when there's a lot of stuff to learn and I don't do it fast enough. And then the third one is, I'd like to actually let the team know that I'm happy to help them if they'll help me when I'm busy. Great. Awesome. You know, brilliant. So always use their ideas where possible. Understand the monkey. I've explained this in previous webinars. Basically, we each have a monkey. This is my monkey, my job, my responsibility. If I, the owner, I'm sitting with you, talking to you about you getting an earlier bus, and I say, well, look, how about I pick you up? I've just now let them put their monkey on me. It's not my problem that they are not getting to work on time. It's theirs. Just know whose monkey it is. It's not your monkey. So, and encourage people to work things out for themselves. The number of times I know we've succeeded at this stuff is when I hear somebody in a team say, oh, well, it's no point asking the boss. He'll just make you work it out for yourself. Excellent. Yay. Well done, boss. Cool. Next slide. So we talked about what to say. We now need to talk about when to say it, because so often we put it off. We think, oh, look, you know, I'll leave it till next week, or oh, I'll wait till they come back off leave, or oh, I'll do it sometime never. Now, as owners, managers, franchisors, team leaders, it is your job to deal with poor performance. And you must deal with it as soon as it affects the person's results, immediately that it starts affecting other people's results, when it starts spreading. And trust me, if you've got one person who comes in late in the mornings and you do nothing about it, other people will think, oh, it's okay. Well, I'll just come in, I'll just have a little lie in every morning. And suddenly you've got a whole team that doesn't start work from 10 o'clock in the morning or whatever, you know. But when it starts to take up too much of your time is valuable. Yes, it's your job to deal with poor performance, but it's not your job to fix problems for people. It's to teach them how to fix problems for themselves. And of course, the final one was when it becomes simply too offensive or draining to ignore. Deal with it sooner rather than later. A small problem can turn into a massive problem really quickly. So get in early. Next slide. So always, when you set up these one-on-ones, make sure you set it in a comfortable place, a quiet place, turn your phone off, ask not to be disturbed. So sit and talk to people calmly and clearly. Be specific, give exact examples, don't waffle. No ambiguity. We've already said, ask for their ideas and suggestions. Please do that. Use I statements at all times. Offer them support and encouragement. Say, look, I'm here if you need me. Not I'll do it for you. I'm here if you need me. Do not back down, ever. If you have sat with a person to say, I'm having difficulty with blah, 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 do not be talked out of it. Make sure that they go out of your office or wherever you're having the conversation, knowing exactly what they are going to do. Do not back down. Always watch your tone and your body language. I've put mirror in there and I'm not quite sure why I put that in there. Maybe it's because, you know, if you're angry, they'll get angry, or if you're stressed, they'll pick up on your stress. So yes, you set the tone. Be calm and be clear. Cool. Next slide. So what not to say ever. Do not use the word you at the beginning of your conversation. You, are not performing to my satisfaction, or you have become a pain in the neck, or you need to shape up or ship out, or you are seriously letting my team down, or you, I don't think you'd ever say this, you are the worst person I've ever employed, in which case, who's the problem here? Anyway, yeah, so don't start your conversations with the word you, always use I statements. It's a subtle difference, but I promise you it's a whole world of difference in reaction, because the minute you say you, that finger comes out, you know, it's a blame thing. Next slide. Now, this is where it gets a little bit more involved and a little bit more complicated, because no employee sits there and sits like a dummy. They don't. Some of them will want to argue with you. And so the phrase to use there is, Sarah, I'm not going to get into an argument with you. I'm here to find solutions, and I'd like to hear your thoughts. And then shut up. I can promise you that there will, if somebody has, you know, time issues or whatever, say, well, I'm not the only one, you know, blah, blah, blah. James is just as bad. No, no, no. I'm not here to talk about other team members. I'm here to talk about your situation. Let's have a look at what we can do there. When you've stated the problem, make sure you get agreement. So when you've had your chat and they've put their 2p and you've said, you know, we need to find a way to sort this out, this is a really good statement. Do you understand that this, whatever it is, can't go on? And then shut up. We need to get a yes. Now, if they say no, then to a degree, we've got to go back and say it again. We need to talk about your timekeeping, as I've said, because it's affecting other people. Do you understand that? Don't go on until you get a yes. You need to gain agreement that there is a problem. Now, I've had people say, oh, no, I can't do this, especially female managers talking to male employees, where I've heard them say, oh, I can't do that. I just know that there's going to, what if they burst into tears? It's okay. If just have some tissues handy, just let the person, you know, get themselves together. It's okay. And it's okay to actually say, look, I know this is hard stuff. Would you like to take a 10-minute break? And if they get really upset, it's okay to say, look, how about we just leave it here? And how about we come back tomorrow? You have a think about it overnight. You have a think about what it is I'm saying and why it's important that we sort this, whatever it is, out. It's okay to do time out. Now, when you have had time out, please don't then just leave it there and then the person goes off and you never do anything else. Reconvene and restate your case. Okay. Now, I'm really, I think it's really important that we document things. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to write all this down and I'm going to give you a copy. That at this stage can be too harsh. But what I will do is I will write in my diary, or if you're technology minded, I will make a statement for my dad, talked to Sarah about her timekeeping. She agreed that she was going to try and get an earlier bus. We're going to reconvene in a week. Make that documentation really clear, because just in case it really goes pear-shaped and down track, you now have a trail of the conversations that you've had with this person. Okay, if things ever get to be a personal grievance, it's all about, was this constructive dismissal? Did the person know exactly what the problem was? Were they given support and encouragement? Did you give them coaching and all of that? And you can say, yes, we've been working on this for 6 months or whatever. Please document in your diary or wherever that what you have said, what they have agreed to do, and when you're going to get together again. Really, really, really important. Next slide. So, useful techniques. This comes from a book called When I Say No, I Feel Guilty, and it's the best book I've ever read. It's still in print. It's very old. It's written by a man called Manuel Smith. He talks about a phrase called broken record. So I just say the same thing over and over. I understand and I can appreciate it's really difficult to get here in the morning because of your buses, but I need to have you here on time. And then we do the shut up, the power of the pause. Always ask for suggestions, offer your solutions, gain agreement, ask what the support they need from you. And it's okay to offer support, but just remembering whose monkey it is. Close the circle so you will diarize a follow-up. I'm here if you need me. Always, 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 always follow up. Make sense? Now, I'm just going to take a little pause there. So if you want to put a few questions in or concerns or you know, I tried that once and it didn't work, let's just have a little breather here and send me any thoughts, concerns, whatever that you have, because what we do with these is if there's something I haven't covered or don't have time to cover, I get a printout of the chat box and I can answer your questions tomorrow. So is there anything that I haven't answered that you would like me to answer? Or anything you've tried and it didn't work? Okay, not seeing anything coming through, and that's fine. That's absolutely okay. And as I say, it's okay to email me afterwards and say, I didn't like to say on the forum, but I'm actually knee deep in a challenge right now. I have explained the situation. We agreed on a process. They didn't do it. I've called them back. We had the same conversation. They didn't do it. Okay, so email me and I'll talk you through where to from there. Oh, next slide. So yeah. So what if there's no improvement? So you've had your chat, you diarised it, you met up again and absolutely zero improvement. So it's okay, talk to me, tell me what's going on. Remember we discussed, remember we talked about, and remember we agreed that you were going to. So talk to me now, and then please sit back and let them talk to you. And there might be a genuine problem. As I say, I used to live on the shore and I worked in the city centre, and every bus that came past was full. I couldn't get on. So I tried an earlier bus and it wasn't much different, but it was a little bit better, but it was still erratic. So what I did was I put a little, it was in the days when you put an ad in the paper, need to get into the city, blah, blah, blah. Could I, car share with anybody? So that's the solution. So I came up with my own solution. I wasn't being disruptive or was deliberate or whatever. It was a genuine problem that I had living on the shore. So just listen, there might be genuine issues. But, we've got to come back to, remember I said I couldn't let it go on. I have to, because, it might be the receptionist or it might be the person that sets all the things up for you to start the day with your patients or your franchise or your coffee shop or whatever. That's what I took you on for. I took you on so that you could come in and get things sorted so that when other staff come in, that's all done for them. This is real life stuff. It isn't, I can use case studies and they sound really good, but this is real life stuff. So where to from here? Because it's not happening. So what do we do? And put the problem back to them. It's their problem. Listen, listen, listen. It's okay to say, all right, let's talk through this because, it's starting to affect everyone. Cool. Next slide. So here's a biggie. Now, I have seen this happen many, many times. People go, oh, yeah, no, you're right, and I'm sorry, and yes, and I will, and for, a couple of weeks or a month or so, they're good, and then quietly they start to slip back. And, you sort of think, oh, well, I don't really want to say anything because they did improve and blah, blah, blah. And I don't really want to have to go through it all again. You must. Okay, you must. So the conversation now becomes, you know, you were doing really well and I was so impressed and I thought we got it all sorted. So what happened? Yeah, and it might be, oh, well, you know, they've changed the bus route or I don't know, whatever. I've got a new flatmate and her alarm clock. I don't know, whatever it is, but don't let it go. Why is that? What's happened? Why are we slipping back? Remember we said, most famous phrase in the world, remember we said, remember we agreed. Remember I said we have to find a solution. So where do we go from here, Sarah? Because it has to be sorted. And then shut up. Make sense? Cool. Next slide. Now, if things start to go really wrong, once again, you've got to get in early. Don't mess around. Keep asking great questions. Talk to me, Sarah. Tell me what's going on. I'm not going to let this go. I have to make sure that this works because I just have to. Now, I know these conversations aren't easy. I've done hundreds in my time, but I can tell you now, the first few I ever did, I was terrified. I don't think I would sleep the night before. But the thing is, it is our job. If we are owners, managers, franchisors, if people report to us, it is our job. Because I can tell you now, if we aren't dealing with it, the rest of the team are seeing we're not dealing with it. And not only will it spread, all respect for us as managers goes down the drain. Because they say, oh, that's, you know, the manager's weak as water, couldn't organize a boozer print a brewery, you know, and you know that's all bad stuff. It's bad stuff for everyone. I've said numerous times, people don't leave organizations, they leave bad managers. And turnover is a huge cost. I believe if we can turn people around, and I believe we can turn, well, I've said there, 95% of our people are savable. In all of those years of dealing with these situations, I don't think there are very many people that we haven't managed to turn around. We've just got to make people see it's important, you know, you're paid to do a job. That's what I took you on for, you know. If I've got you in the wrong job, then we'll have a little look at what we can do differently. I don't want to lose you. I don't. Because if I've got to go, well, I'm not going to say this to them, but if I've got to go through the recruitment process again, it can cost anything up to 5 times a person's salary to replace them, if you can replace them. And, you know, we're hearing stories now, we can't find people. I'm doing a little bit of research as to why that is. Yes, it's about COVID, but a big part of it is because people have got used to working from home and they don't want to come back into an office. Why would you in Auckland want to sit in traffic for an hour and a quarter every morning? Why would you, you know? So we've got to not lose good people. Now, I'm not saying if you've got a rat bag that we don't find ways to let them go. I'm not saying that. But if you've got people who are, you know, 80 to 90% nearly there, then let's work on them to get that extra 10% so that they are great. And we have got a great team member. Okay, next slide. Don't forget to use your chat box. If there's anything you want to ask me, feel free. So the big one for me is know your people. Don't put people in boxes. I believe that job descriptions should be flexible. I might have employed someone to do a particular job. The job has changed and that person now isn't necessarily the right person to do that. But what is that person going to be good at? What are other things that I can give that person? I don't want to lose them, you know. Give people time. This stuff doesn't happen overnight. You know, if it's my first conversation, then I'm probably going to give people a week or 2 or a month to say, okay, so how's it going? You know, buddy your non-performers with one of your high performers. You know, that's such a great opportunity for your high performers to become a coach or a buddy or a mentor. And it means you don't have to do it. You know, we're busy, but if there's somebody in your team who's bored, they're a great performer, but they're bored, it's how would you like to work with Jane to help her, you know, go around and see our customers or whatever it is, you know, match people up. Don't expect people to sit at a desk day in and day out and not get bored out of their skulls. Now, sometimes letting people make mistakes is the best way for them to learn. Now, obviously, you've got to be careful with that one. Don't want to be giving them the wrong prescription or something. But, you know, if maybe I've got a cafe or something, and they think, you know, it's okay to smack a coffee down on a table or whatever, and the person complains about them. I don't know. I mean, I'm just thinking of examples here. Sometimes letting them make mistakes is actually a good way for them to learn. Oh, okay, that didn't go so well. Okay, so how could you do that differently, you know? Always put the monkey where it belongs. And understand I don't know whether you're familiar with the phrase situational leadership. My best way of describing that is that lovely song, Know When to Hold Them, Know When to Fold Them. In other words, know when to step in, know when to step back. Know when a person's worth keeping, know when a person isn't. You will get a sense of this as you go along. That's leadership as opposed to managing. So I hope that makes sense. Next slide. So the challenge of poor performance. I'm not sure if you know, but if you've got one negative person in your team, and listen, I'm English, and we're notorious for being whingers. And so when I first start working with a team and I hear somebody whinging, I say, are you a POM? And of course, everyone laughs or goes quiet or fidgety or whatever. And it's like, well, let's not do that, shall we? Shall we not do that? Yeah, because if you've got one negative person in your team, it takes 5 positive people to overcome their energy. Okay, so it's things like, you know, let's not do that. Let's not go into the lunchroom and whine and whinge. If you've got a problem, bring it to me. If you've got a problem, bring it at the next meeting. Don't get into the habit of gossip. Don't get into the habit of whining in the lunchroom and gossiping and passing on bad news. Please don't do that. It's just awful. You know, we spend more time at work than we do with our family. Do we want to come into a place that's miserable? No, we don't. Thank you very much. Yeah, so boredom is the biggest factor in poor performance, I promise you. I've worked with enough teams. I've seen enough people go to that boredom square. I've seen enough people go to the quit and stay corner to know that we waste so many of our people. And a Gallup poll, a recent one, discovered that only 13% of our workers are actually involved with their work. Think about that, you know, that's massive. That's, you know, I'm not good with numbers, but that's a lot of non-passionate people. And as I've said, it can cost double a person's wage or salary to replace them, if you can replace them. So let's work with the people we've got. Please recruit meticulously. I know that right now it's hard to find people, but the last thing you want to do is, and look what's happening with the National Party, who've brought in a new person they've just found has got a history of bullying. Wow, that needs to be found out at the recruitment stage. Yeah, make sure you check references, make sure you delve into the person's background, because, you know, taking on the wrong person can destroy your team. We know that, yeah. So, some questions. Do you honestly think you can turn the person around with some good conversations, some good one-on-ones, some good healthy feedback? Do we think we can turn this person around? Great. And if you think you can, then give it a go. You know, it's okay to work with the person. Sometimes some people just take a little bit longer. It's okay. But it's actually okay to let some people go. Some people just simply don't fit. You know, it might be a recruitment strategy for dealing with boredom. We tend to give people self-management so they can manage their own time, but there are other strategies. What I'll do, Andrew, is I'll reply to that tomorrow, if that's okay, because boredom is quite a topic in itself. Let me answer that tomorrow and I'll send it out to everyone. Does that work for you? Because some people are right for self-managing, some people aren't. Yeah, okay. If we go back to the bird things, Doves aren't great at self-managing. They tend to get sidetracked into other people's problems. Peacocks are hopeless at self-managing. So yeah, I'll give you a bit more of an answer to that tomorrow, everybody. Cool, great question. Oh, I've just knocked myself out, goodness. See, I did tell you I was not good at technology. I just locked myself out. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. There you go. You see, you can teach old people a new trick. Cool. Okay. So, yeah, a big one for me is learn from experience. I can't tell you how important that recruitment process is. You know, I used to work in the computer industry, and they had a phrase called garbage in, garbage out. And that's a horrible thing. But honestly, I can't tell you how that goes to the truth. Make sure you recruit meticulously, but also make sure you have a really good induction program. So many companies just take somebody on and say, there's your desk, there's your job description, off you go. No, that doesn't quite work. And the other thing that I think is really important is that every business has their values sorted out. Now, that's a whole session in itself. If you want to understand a little bit more about values, the best book I can suggest you read is Good to Great. Name of the author's I've forgotten, but it's about all the big companies who have got distinct values, and they're not all the same, but they have values. And when you take somebody on, make sure they understand your values, recruit to your values. If your values are, we look after the elderly and we need people with lots of patience, and you take somebody on who has shown to move jobs every 5 minutes, that's not a person with patience. So those three things are so important. Cool. Next slide. So my belief is a leader is a person who has sense enough to pick good people to do what he or she wants done, and the self-restraint to keep from meddling with them while they do it. So it's the know when to hold them, know when to fold them thing. Know when to step in and give support, know when to step in and give feedback, know when to step back and, you know, let people learn the job themselves, all of those wonderful things. So none of this stuff is easy. I'm not saying any of it's easy. We join a team or we employ people and we take people at face value, or we assume they've got the same values as us. And the other thing, of course, is we recruit in our image. The last webinar I did was about team, building a high-performing team. And I can, if we go back to the bird thing, I can tell you that we recruit in our image. So owls recruit owls, which is why we've got accounts departments full of owls. Doves recruit doves, which is why, and sometimes there's nothing wrong with that, which is why our nurses and kindy people are usually doves. If you think about peacocks, they recruit more peacocks. They're usually in the kind of glamour industries, maybe media, journalism, TV, whatever. And of course, I always kind of joke and say, and whatever business our eagles find themselves in, they will be running it. But the problem is, if we have only owls in our team, we have no one else to balance out the other three corners. Every team I've ever worked with has an empty corner. So, you know, just understand that A, people are human. B, we all, I hope, do the best we can. C, we might have put a person in the wrong job, but it doesn't mean that the wrong person, that's just the wrong job. Change the job description. It's okay to do that. Cool. So any more questions? So this is quite a small group today. A lot of people couldn't get here for a variety of reasons. So we haven't had as many stops for chats, and that's okay. But this is last chance. Any further questions? Oh, okay, I've got one here. What to do when the team in a nonprofit organization and everyone is doing this. Okay, now this is a really good one, Thelma. I'm working with a couple of volunteer organizations, and I know from experience that a lot of people join a volunteer organization so that they can say, oh yes, well of course I'm on the blah 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 board. This is another recruitment thing. You need to find out why they're joining your organization. You need to find out their values. You need to find out what motivates them. Why are they doing this? Because if it's just a big note, if it's just to, you know, go and gloat or whatever, you don't want them. And this is also where your performance starts, to check if this person is responsible for doing X, Y, Z, are they doing it? If they're not doing it, or they're late doing it, or they're slack doing it, or they don't bother doing it, then you need to start performance with them. I don't care if they're volunteers. I don't care if it's a nonprofit. If they're not doing the job I've taken them on to do, then I don't want them on my team. And I know that that's tough. I mean, this stuff is tough love. And I know that in your particular case, it's an international organization, but I still believe you have to say to these people, look, I'm really sorry, but you know, you've been with me now for 6 months and I've asked you to do these things. And so far you haven't done any of them. So I'm just not sure why you're on the organization at all. So please have a think about, do you want to stay? Because if you want to stay, I need you to perform. And if you can't perform, don't perform, or won't perform, then I will find someone else to replace you. You know, this is the tough side of performance manager. Yeah. So great question for me as well, working extensively with a couple of not-for-profits and very real challenge, particularly with an older one. Yeah, now see, once again, it's quite often, and I'm old, so, you know, I know with a lot of old people, they just, they want, because they're bored, they just want an activity. It's like, that's fine. I don't mind you coming here to have an activity, but we do need you to perform. And these are the things that we took you on for. So my belief is with most people, if you sit them down and say, look, this isn't working, talk to me, they'll either get the message or they'll move on themselves. Okay, because no one actually likes to be called out. You know, the organization is, oh, I see, okay. So people who have been around for longer wasn't calling out volunteers by age. Okay, that's cool. But I do work with a lot of older people, and they do work a bit slower, but they're very loyal. They never have absenteeism problems, but they're crap with technology, me included. So, you know, once again, it's look at the whole person. Take them at face value, but do not ever, Thelma particularly, do not let anybody be on your nonprofit organization just for the sake of being able to say, oh yes, well, of course I'm on the such and such. It drags your organization down. You don't want them. Sorry, bye. Go and have a good life somewhere else. Yeah. So does that help, guys? That's good. We've got a few conversations going there. So any other questions? So come back to that boredom thing, because we've got a bit of time. A great question is, I'll dig back into my archives, because that little model I did with the faces, I actually devised a performance or a career development workbook using those faces. And I would say to the person I was sitting with, pick the face, tell me where you are, and I've got a set of questions that come with each face. So remind me, Andrew, tomorrow, and I'll dig that out for you. Because if people say, oh, actually, yeah, I am a bit bored, the next question is, what else would you like to learn? You know, what else would you like to do? What other things strengths and talents do you have that we're not using? You know, you can ask all of these things. So often we take a person on, leave them there for 55 years and then wonder what, and all along they're going, oh, but you know, I could have, and I know how to, and I could have shown you how to, and you know, all of those wonderful things. Yeah. So are we happy that we've got some good information? Let me know. And as I say, you can email me if there's anything you disagree with. But I'm passionate about this stuff, and I'm passionate about bringing out the best in people. I'm passionate about turning people around. There's nothing more satisfying to me when somebody says, I've got a rat bag in my team and I want rid of them, and I show them how that rat bag is not a rat bag and actually is an absolute little hero waiting to blossom. So there's nothing more valuable to me than being able to do that. Cool. Okay, so next slide, final slide, I think. Okay, so I've been running these for about the last 4 or 5 months, just on the whole HR thing. And we're putting them up on a YouTube channel, which at some stage I'll, put them into a series, because honestly, if you are going into business, starting a new business, and you have access to this series of webinars, it's ongoing training for you, for any new managers you bring in, anybody you promote into team leadership, for anyone that you want to grow and develop, whatever. This is 30 years of HR experience, So the final one, I want to talk about leading people versus managing them, because my belief is people don't need managing, they need to be led. And if you can become a leader rather than a manager, your business will absolutely flourish. I promise you that. So that's on the 8th of September, 3 o'clock. So I'll send out a little note to everybody to say, come and join us, because that is the closing the loop of all this HR stuff. At some stage, I might do something on recruitment, but my challenge with these webinars is I've ended up getting so much work, which is great, that I haven't got time to do any more at the moment. So tune into the next one, because as I say, it just kind of closes the loop. So that's me, people. I'll put myself back on. So anything else you want to ask me? Any other thoughts, cares, concerns, disagreements? We all good?